Okay, so the first question is from Kelechi, and it says, what does priority application deadline on a university website mean? So it's asking a question, what does the priority application deadline that is written on the university's website, what does it mean?
Okay, I don't know. Is Prof still here? Should I go on?
I think you can go ahead. If you want to answer, just.
Okay. Okay. I think priority application deadline is, there are some departments that that don't give admission or funding directly from professors. But if a professor likes your profile, he can actually recommend you for admission. So if a department may have, this is the time they consider students for scholarship. For instance, if you're applying for fall next year or spring next year, they can tell you that the application priority deadline is between July and September. So anybody that applies after that time will be admitted or funded if there is enough funding remaining after the consideration for the people that apply within that window that they gave as the priority. You understand? So they will first of all consider those ones, kind of first come, first serve standard. Then after that particular period, if there is still enough funding, they can still accept 1 or 2 more students. If not, then you will be self-funded. And that is why some of us, you apply for admission and they will give you admission without funding. Is because maybe possibly they've already considered their funding is over for that particular term. That's what it means.
Thank you very much, Nat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nat. Okay, the second question says, when is the best time to start searching for graduate study opportunities?
Sandy, you want to help us with this question? Maybe let's be calling people who are very resourceful. Sandy, are you there? Would you like to help us with this?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, to me, I don't think there is anything like best time. I feel like you should start early enough. Like, okay, now, for now, we know that the fall semester is starting August. So now you have to start preparing against fall 2023. So it starts now because the application cycle will open in 1st August. So you start now to prepare ahead of time. So there's nothing like best time, just start early and start preparing.
Great, thank you very much. Femi, can you please add something to this? Femi, are you still here? Farotimi, Femi, are you still here? Okay, good. Kelechi.
Okay. Yeah, so the best time to start searching for graduate opportunities is now. Yeah, so there are always, like Nathaniel said, there are always deadlines, for application, whether it's priority deadline where you're likely to get opportunities for scholarship or assistantship. And then there are also the other deadlines where you can get admission without funding. But however it depends on school too. So you can start now, then look for the closest application timeline which you can get in. If you start now to apply for fall of 2022, it's already too late. So you can start now to apply for spring of 2023, which is the reason why we're doing this now. So spring 2023 applications will most likely have their deadlines around December. In fact, December is very late. So you should start now to make your application. There is no best time other than now. That's just what I have to say. Okay? Especially if you are looking to get scholarship opportunities or graduate assistantship and teaching assistantship.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm not taking the moderating role. I just want to make it active. So if you don't ask people, sometimes we'll just be getting only one person giving the answer, but we have like a lot more than 10 resourceful persons that I know. This one I know them. We have others who are hidden, but I know these ones, so that's why I'm calling them. Okay, so what I see about this application thing is I will give reference to, I will refer to the story that happened in the Bible, where I'm not saying that this is a biblical thing, right? I'm just giving a story, using that as a story. This story of a lame man, right? A lame man that was close to a sea that gets turned over. The man was looking for healing, right? So anytime he was close there, but what happens is that when the sea is turned over, the first person to get inside gets healed, right? But this man doesn't have anybody. But the good thing is that he was there. He was at the scene, right? But one as grace will have it, or as events will have it, it came to a time where the great healer, in the person of Jesus, came and he was able to heal that man. But what we can learn from that the man was already in the market. He was ready, right? He was ready for the healing. So one thing about application is that it takes time. It takes time. Sometimes some people have been in the market, in the application market for 2 years. Nothing is happening. A lot of discouragement, a lot of no, a lot of rejections. So people will just come in within 4 or 5 months, they hit their yes, right? So there's no structure. There's no structure as to when you will get your yes. So the only thing is just to make sure you are in the market, right? And anytime you go out of the market, you are actually not doing anybody. In fact, whenever you go out of the market, you are favoring the next person. So if you go out of the market today, you are giving a Christopher Nzedegwu with a chance to become the next person. So that is how it is. So there is no best time, although we have different seasons of admissions, right? But what we have seen from our experience is that even for fall 2022, people are still getting, in fact, I have one person now who is on our list, who is waiting, like we are waiting to get admission for that person. Like everything is already set for fall, which is like 1 month or thereabout. So what happened is that there's the one that actually got the one I announced, number 12, got, let me use their, I don't want to abuse, let me use their, got their I-20 form yesterday. But what happened that the school had to write an a emergency service. So asking the embassy to provide an emergency service to allow this person come in before the school starts, I think in August, in mid August. So that is how long these things can be and how unpredicted they can be. So don't put yourself in this timeline thing. Put yourself in the active role sporadically. But what we have also seen is that there's a time for spike. So that admission for fall 2023, that admission window of, I think between now, this is the best time to also start preparing for your admission for fall 2023. Give yourself like 1 year ahead to prepare for admission that you're going to go. So if you want to be in the US in September 2023, start now. Start now, because when we talk about start now, it means a lot of things. Your transcript should be ready. Admission is not just wake up one day and go and apply. No, your transcript should be ready. And we know what it takes to get our transcript in Nigeria, right? Or in Ghana or any part of the world where you are. Although in other parts of the world, especially developed countries, there it's very easy. You can just, in fact, within 1 day, like my transcript, if I want to get it now, I'll just go to my school portal and get my transcript now. It's as easy as that, right? But if I want the official one, I have to send an email and they will mail it to where I want it to get to. That might take like one week or some days. But if I want the unofficial one now, I'll get it. So depending on where you are, you have to prepare your document, and it's part of the time to prepare for the admission. Then sometimes you need to also write your CV. And we know that writing your CV is not just something you wake up and write, because sometimes when you write on your own, it's not refined. Sometimes you need your friends to refine it. If you need someone like me or our mentorship group to refine, to read it for you, because we are also busy, right? We might not read it, we might not give you our comment immediately. Some people these days are taking 1 week, 2 weeks, because everybody is trying to meet up with their research, this and that. So you have to give that time, right, for people to review your document if they really want to do good work on it. So with that, I agree with Sandra Ofo, I agree with Kelechi Igwe and other people who have spoken that the best time to start is now. There's no right time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah, Hussein, are you still there? So we have quite a number of questions. I think we need to speed them up. Yeah, Hussein.
Yes, sir, I'm here. So should I take them, say 2? Should I read 2 of them at once?
Yeah, I think we already answered. Sorry, let me share my. I think we already answered 2 from what Prof just said. Yeah.
Because they're up to 13 currently. 13 questions.
Yeah, this Onikan Sagashos asks the same
Onikan. Yes, concerning application.
Good. So
and then the requirements one has been answered. What are the requirements one needs to get? I would like to find out if it's possible to get scholarship in a program that is related to your work experience. Okay, work experience, but not necessarily in your in line with your course of study. Yes, sir.
Anybody want to go? Okay. I think I have dealt with an issue like this, especially, so this person read English. This person read English and now is looking for, he wants to move to data science area because the person has been doing some things in regards to data science. I think this person has been able to, I think this person got a supervisor, if I could remember. This person got a supervisor somehow. I think I could remember. So yes, I think I can remember. So it's possible. It's possible that you read, because there are some courses that it's possible that you read one thing and with your experience doing something, if you can show forth, if you can show evidence of that thing, maybe in that new thing you are doing, maybe you have written some papers, or if it's maybe in terms of code, you have generated some code that somebody can go to. Maybe you have an account on GitHub that you can refer the professor to go and see what you have done. That thing, the person can go there and be convinced and get and accept you into their program. Like I can also give an example with my department where I did my PhD, Bioresource Engineering department in McGill. That department, there's a program called Integrated Water Resource Management. They accept even people who read medicine. If you read medicine, you want to move to integrated, you can be accepted. If you read geography, you want to come to Bioresource Engineering for Integrated Water Resource Management, you'll be accepted. The whole idea is that the approach towards solving most of the world's problems are very interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. So some of these programs, they just want to see how you write your story of especially your statement of purpose. If you can tell the story why you are moving to this area and what background you have built in this new area you think that will make you fit, then if the professor can be convinced, the professor seeing your achievements in your undergraduate, whether it is in that field or not, and seeing your achievement in the new area, it can be a selling point. Yes, that is my take.
Thank you so much.
Any other response so that we can go to the next?
So I think the next question is still similar.
Yes, sir. It's still similar.
Yeah,
It's
so
asking about. Okay.
I've seen it. I've seen the question. So the one that is, please do, how do I convince the professor in another
Convince
field?
a professor, yeah, in another. Yes,
Like
sir.
we said, just to emphasize, your writing, the convincing part is your writing with examples, and know what are the talking points in that field, because you don't want to start talking about something that is obsolete in a field that you want to enter. Know what the professor is working on, and you're able to write what the current thing you're doing, how it relates to what the professor is working on. That's what part of what we are saying, that when you want to reach out to a professor, make sure you have studied what the professor is doing. Read one or two of his recent papers, right? Because that is where he is now. You cannot be talking about what he did maybe 10 years ago. Maybe he has the trend has left that part. The train has left that part, right? So make sure you are engaging the professor with the current thing he is doing. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Another one says, how can I get a supervisor's email in Netherlands for postdoctoral fellowship?
Okay, so thank you very much for asking this question. This is very straightforward. If you are interested in any, so the professor or the supervisor must be part of a school, right? So the professor is or a research institute, if in that case. So just if you go to any of the school's website, I'm very sure most schools, the email address of their professor, once you know the name of the professor, in this case, you should be able to see it on the website and see his email. That is one way. Another way is that these days, a lot of professors are becoming very active on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So if the person also, you can also look for the name, although many people can have the same name on Twitter. So but if you look at person's name and the person's profile description, you'll be able to tell that this person is the person I'm looking for. Send them a message. Sometimes they might not respond to you. Sometimes they might respond to you. But the quickest place to go is on their website. That is one. And another place to get it is if the person has published a paper. Most professors, they will be the corresponding author of the paper, right? Like me, if I publish a paper, my email address will be on the paper, because that is the corresponding author will put their email. So that is another way to get it. Another way is that you can reach out to the professor via ResearchGate. If the person is on ResearchGate, just go there and send the person a message. The person will respond. So I've talked about 4 different methods you can get. If you still cannot get the person, send me the person's name. I will help you look for where the person's email is. We must get that person's email. Yeah. If you have something else to say, please raise your hand and give your opinion on any of these questions, please.
Okay.
All right, sir. Can we move on, sir?
Yes.
Okay, people sometimes say that it is good to exaggerate a little bit. Let's say you know the basics of Python programming. Can you say that you are pro in it?
So for me, does anyone want to go? Anybody want to go?
Yeah, so I can say a bit about that from my own little experience. Okay. Yeah, so when you're emailing a professor, I think what's more important is showing interest. For on your expertise in any field. they would most likely get a postdoc if they are looking for a quick, someone who already has expertise in a particular area. So, but if they are going for a master's or a PhD students, they know that you are going to have to do some courses that will help grow your expertise in any area. So you are going to learn whatever you feel or the professor feels you need for your research. So when you are emailing a professor, my best advice would be show your interest. Your interest might mean that, okay, you actually interested in Python programming. How many courses have you taken in Python programming? How many conferences have you attended that has to do with projects relating to Python programming? But, you know, saying you are a pro in it when you are not a pro, when you come into the school, you know, much expectation will be required of you and stuff like that. So it's best to show strong interest rather than saying you are an expert. But I don't know, like that's what I feel.
Great. Thank you very much, Kelechi. Any other person want to say something? Okay. I think to define what a pro is even relative, right? So if you say, you can say you're a pro, that is my take. You can say you're a pro, but it will be better if you have examples of what you have done with Python. That might even show how pro you are, right? And you can, like, you don't need to, because you don't even know exactly what the person is going to use the Python for. So you can claim to be a pro if you know how to do one or two things there, right? What you have to do, like a lot of people these days, they have accounts on, just like you can, if you say you have published, you are not publishing in isolation, right? We will see it. You should have a Google Scholar account, right? So I can go and check how published you are. If you are published 5, I will see it on Google Scholar. I will see it on your ResearchGate. So if you have a GitHub account, you can link the person to there to see one or two of your codes, right? So you can, and you can also claim that you have used this for this, maybe, or you can use this package. So that word, being a pro on its own, is very relative, but if you back it up with examples of what you have done, especially in relation to what the role, the position wants, then that will give it more substance. Because one thing we should know is that the purpose of application that we make is just to pull you out for an interview, right? If you make a strong application, if it can get you to the stage of an interview, then the person will see you the person will now confirm if you are really what you are. If they want to get to that extent, sometimes they just don't want to get to that extent. Another thing is that, like Kelechi said, I agree. If you get to a program, even if you're not a pro to the extent of the pro that you have defined, you have opportunity to get trained, and it's okay. Your interest in the program should be very strong. Yeah.
So the questions are increasing.
It's fine. So you have a timeline. We can actually merge some. If you see, if there are some questions that we have answered, we don't have to answer it again, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. How possible is it for someone who graduated since 2016 to get an admission and funding for MSc? Then secondly, how can I get admission and funding with 2.5 GP in the US or Canada?
Yeah, so if you have graduated since 2016, it's possible to be admitted. Yeah, it's like, I would generally say it's possible, right? So the possibility of these things, they just depend on who you contact and what they think you are bringing to the table. I think every supervisor wants to know what you are bringing to the table. I know that in general, people who graduated, like the earlier you graduate, the likely your chances, or the more your chances to be admitted. But if you have stayed like 5 or some years down the line, then there should be something to show forth, right? Let's say if you finish 2016 and you have been lecturing, you are still in the academic game, right? And maybe you have published 2 or 3. So you are not going to be selling with your CGPA. You're going to be selling with your research. You're going to be selling with your writing. how you have published, things like that. That will be your selling point. And then the impact of your research. Then in terms of that also will cover if you had a low CGPA, your selling point will not be CGPA. You have to be able to convince a professor, because most schools have admission requirements that for you to be admitted, you have to meet this minimum CGPA. But what I've seen from my experience, professors can write a letter on your behalf to counter the requirement if they think that you are the good product they are looking for. So one way of doing that is, let's say you attended a conference where that potential supervisor attended, and maybe after presenting your work, right, this professor will be like, wow, this is a good student to have. Then the person will fix a conversation with you, maybe in that conference. And after speaking, by speaking with you alone, the person sees that you are a bunch of knowledge. So your CGPA will become very much immaterial, because the person knows that this person is good. CGPA, you can now tell the story of why your CGPA was low. And when the person writes a letter that he has seen your research, he or she has had you speak, then that person will make a move. He can write a letter to the dean, to the admission officers, that you need this student, that he or she needs this student, that he knows that this person has a low CGPA, but from this other thing that this person has done, he thinks that the person meets the requirement of being admitted, then you can scale through. I actually saw a trend on something like that on Twitter from one of my friends. You guys will know him. One of my friends, a very top guy on Twitter. What is his name again? Yeah, let me not mention his name. He actually posted a case where somebody got admission with a 2.2, right? So the selling point was the research. The person is into, things like that. So your skill in research and your output will sell you with this, in this case, yeah. Then there are some funding that doesn't put attention on, let me just say that there are some funding. This one is not like the professor. Now there are some funding in general that doesn't put attention on CGPA. I think something like Chevening, it puts attention on leadership. So maybe you had a low CGPA, but you are a social influencer. Maybe you have 10,000 followers on a particular issue. Maybe in terms of climate change, you are a voice. You can shine with your leadership skills. And when they see that, wow, this person is a social influencer or is a community builder, he has leadership, he can bring it, you can get opportunity for such type of funding. So in that case, your CGPA will not count, because that is not their criteria. It's not their selling criteria, or their selling, it's not part of their selling criteria. Yeah. I have 2 questions. How do one go about getting a recommendation letter? Who is eligible to write a recommendation letter for an applicant? Very good point. Okay, so a recommendation letter should, especially for what we are doing here, like, which is more like an academic thing, right? So I think the best people to write your recommendation letters are your professors who know you. If you are going for a master's degree, I think somebody who has a PhD should be able to write for you. Don't use a student. I saw somebody who put a student. Don't use a PhD student, right? Use if somebody who has finished a PhD can write for you, who is a researcher can write for you. Then a professor that taught you or that supervised you. I think the whole idea of recommendation, you want somebody who really knows you. You know, there are 2 different things. If somebody who knows you is talking about you, it's organic, right? It flows. A lot of examples on how you manage time, on how you took initiative, on how you were innovative, right? Those points will just come out organic. But if you want me to write for you, I will struggle. Like, because I don't know you, I did not work with you, I have not even seen you, I've not seen you perform. So it's not going to be organic. So the people that should write for you, in a nutshell, your supervisors or your professors who you have worked with, right? We have issues of professors who find it difficult to access their email because we are in this age where recommendations is requested via email, things like that. So just make sure that the professors you are using, they have access to email. They can write it, they can check their email and write for you. So that's, you should put that into considerations. Yeah.
It says if one gets accepted for winter session in January, can you travel in February? Well, yeah, so I think it all depends on, how, for Nathaniel, I think Nathaniel, you got your admission in October and we traveled in December. That was 2 months. If the admission is fast, you can always apply for visa fast. There's always the chance to do expedited visa, but just get accepted first. That's our first point of,
Yeah. Kelechi, you are giving an example with Nathaniel. What about you?
No, Nathaniel's one the timeline was shorter than mine. I got admitted in September and I arrived in December. Nathaniel got admitted in October and arrived in December.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if a professor accepts you, you can get admitted in the shortest time, depending on how the professor really needs you, how fast he needs you. Your admission can come out in 2 weeks. It's not like Nigeria. Yeah, and your visa application too, they can send kind of a message. Even the professor can send to the embassy. I've seen somebody do that. His professor had to send to the embassy, say, I need this student to do his interview as quick as possible. And they expedited his appointment and, he went where he needed to go. So that's very possible.
Great. I think that is very helpful. Thank you very much, Kelechi. Just to add, if for any reason you cannot get to the school, right, there's also a room to defer your admission, right? So some of us don't know about that. So that's why I agree with Kelechi. Get the admission first. If things doesn't work out, they even know sometimes, the professors even know that sometimes visa is an issue. So what happens is that the system here has a room for you to defer. Say, I would like to start in the next semester, right? So you defer your admission, then take your time to now get what you need. That admission will not be taken back once you are communicating. So we always encourage our mentees, once you have gotten that admission, your closest friend is your supervisor. Keep communicating. Anything comes out, maybe, something happened, you cannot travel again. Keep communicating with your supervisor. He's now in fact, like my supervisor here is like my daddy. They are like the closest, that officially they are the closest person to me. So keep communicating. They'll provide all the assistance that you need.
Thank you, sir.
Then if you still want to travel, let's say the program starts in January, you still want to get there in February. The implication is that you're going to be joining there late and they will not wait for you for classes. So if you get there in February, maybe they are getting close to mid-term exam. So you are the one that will actually decide if you want to take that risk of writing an exam and failing. So that's, your supervisor will also help you out. So communicating with your supervisor at that level, it's very recommended.
Yeah, I would like to add.
Okay, Nathaniel, go ahead.
Yeah, I was doing something. Kelechi used me as an example. Most importantly, get good recommenders. They are your first fathers, please. Yeah, Prof here really did a lot of things for me and so many other persons too. Please make sure your recommenders are people that can actually write well about you. My advisor, I had a lot of things during my time. In fact, after my interview, she also had to interview one of my recommenders too. So imagine having a meeting with someone like that. If the person says, I don't have time for this person, then it would have been a different case. Please make sure that someone that is recommending you, someone that can actually make out time for your sake. Thank you.
Okay. So
Great. Can you apply first, then later write your GRE? All this depends on the school. We have actually seen that happen. Like, again, there's somebody who is, I keep giving an example. This person, when the person applied, did not provide GRE, but I think along the line, the person was getting traction, and it's like, oh, this person is admissible. I like the person, but you have to meet the school requirement. So the person has to write the GRE along the line. So to answer your question, yes, although it can bring in some bottleneck, right? So, but it's yes, you can apply first, then provide your GRE, especially if the school did not state it clearly as a requirement, but later they now bring it as a requirement. So it happens. We have seen that. If one graduates with a 2-2, what kind of experience can a person gather to increase a person's chance of getting a scholarship? So I think we have said this before. If you graduate with a 2-2, depending on the type of scholarship you're going to be applying for, there are other things that will make that count. There are other things that count. One, your leadership role. Then your research experience. That will now be in terms of, let's say if you are a lecturer or you are working in a research institute, then your publications, what you have been publishing or the code you have been developing, you can use those ones to sell as a way to show your excellence. Because if you can write very well, that is what researchers see as excellence. Sometimes not even the work, the writing. So that you can use.
okay, so this one says when
There's okay, when there is an advert given who to contact, what documents are compulsory to send ab initio?
Okay. When there's an advert, I think they will tell you that if you have any question, most times they will say, if you have any question, contact this person. So in that case, they did not specify. Just make sure you are not asking something that you can actually go and check on the website. That will show that this person is not really doing their homework, right? But if something that is not ambiguous, there are some applications that are ambiguous. Even it has happened to me. So make sure that question, in fact, you state, although this has been said on your website that this, I still want to understand why this or this, that. That shows that you have done your homework on their website, but there's an ambiguity. Then you want this breakdown, or you can say, although in the call for an application, it was stated that this. Should I also provide this? So that is a reference that you have read the application, so that the person will not send you to the application again, say, all these things you have asked, they are already explained on the application, right? So you reference what they have said on the application and emphasize what you want to get. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, thank you so much. So this one, I think we already answered this question.
Okay. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, should I take that?
No, we already answered it.
Okay, it's been answered already. Okay, the next one says, if a professor decides to schedule an interview with you, what should you expect?
Interesting. Yeah, so please, if a supervisor schedule an interview with you, don't keep it to yourself. Let any of our mentors know. If you want, let me know. I think we have been doing mock interviews for our mentees, and I think it has been very productive. Some people don't know what some of the areas, they don't even know what an interview will be like. And one thing I keep telling people, like one thing that the mock interview that we do has provided is that I just let you know what the impression you're going to get. Because sometimes when we hear about interview, you are scared, right? Most times I let you know the two shapes an interview can take. So to make the answer short, if you get invited for an interview, reach out to us. I've actually drafted some questions that I ask people, so it's not easy for me to just go through those questions with you. And once we can do those, then I always advise you to read about the professor, make sure you understand what the professor is working on. Then sometimes I ask you to check some videos on YouTube, because there are some good videos on YouTube that also tell you how to prepare for an interview. So those are some of the things that we do. So in a nutshell, we try to fix a mock interview with you. And the mock interview can be anything of your choice. We can do it, if you want, we can have a video, like a Zoom call. If you don't want video, which I understand, you don't want to show your face, we can do a WhatsApp call. So I don't force you to show your face. So just to make that clear, right? If you don't want, we can do audio, we can do video, anything. Very open to that, yeah.
Okay, sir, I'm hoping to complete my PhD this year. Can I start applying for postdoc abroad?
Yes, please start. Yes.
All right, sir. Are there scholarship opportunities for spring the same way they are for fall?
Well, yes.
All right.
I'm going to answer that. Yeah, there are. So actually, I think from historic times, like there are more opportunities in the fall than there are in the spring generally. But yeah, professors can get funding at any time. So make sure you contact professors at any time. Don't wait for any particular time. They would, most likely tell you when to apply, whether it's the spring or the fall, when they're expecting their funding. Yeah. I think
Great.
said something here about this. Yeah, Bobby Joy, we can see you. Okay, so I think we'll have this.
Yes, sir. I have MSc, but haven't published yet. What are my chances?
Yeah, if you have an MSc and you haven't published, you still have a chance, right? So who determines your chance or your chances will be the supervisor that you are contacting, right? Just to let you guys know, when I contacted the professor, that's my PhD professor, I did not contact with I didn't have any paper that I would call a paper. Even when I finished my PhD, I actually had only one paper. So sometimes this paper thing is important, but like I think Casey said it again, the interest. There are some other things you can say. You can talk about the research you're doing. Even if you have not published, then you can also talk about maybe if you have already prepared the manuscript, right? You can talk about those. So it's not like if you have not published, then you are a dummy. No. I thank God that the people I'm working with, that they didn't think I was a dummy because I didn't have any paper. I just I had only one paper after my PhD. Now they have confirmed, right? they have confirmed that this person he can write more than a machine. I'm just exaggerating, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just like a major example here. I didn't have any publication before I started my master's, just in case you are thinking you must have a publication. Well, I didn't. Now I'm just starting to write for the first time.
All right, sir. Do all departments or programs do research? Because I've never seen or yet to see a research opening on real estate or related field. I've done lots of searches and emailings.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think every course has a research component. I think so. Every course has a research component. And some courses also have their part of the department that are non-thesis. So if you, I don't know how much you have searched, because when you say I've searched a lot, I don't know what a lot means. Maybe you've searched 10. Some people apply to like 133 schools, right? So sorry, I'm not saying you have not searched more, but I'm just saying I don't really know what a lot means, but I am very sure that real estate has, every study has a research. Research is not, some research happens in the lab, wet lab, some happen dry, they call it dry lab, some happen on the computer, maybe if you are into coding, things like that. Some just happens just by writing, doing questionnaires, taking questionnaires from people and writing. So research has different forms. Maybe when we hear of research, we just think it's only people who go to the lab. No, it's not only lab. It happens in different forms. So I'm very sure they have. Then maybe you can also look at the countries. Which countries are you applying to? Things like real estate. So choose which countries are the top notch in it. You want to go to that countries where real estate is a real thing. Most of these coming up countries like Singapore, things like that. I want to go to those places. They also have good, like they are one of the best schools also.
Yeah, a question.
Yes, sir. This question is related. Okay.
Yeah, while looking for professors too, anybody you see that has his title as lecturer or senior lecturer does not take students. That one, there are some people that are just teaching faculty members. So those ones, they don't accept students. Just go for those ones that have professor, assistant professor, associates. Those are the people that accept students.
Thank you, Now.
Yes, sir. This one seems to be related to the one you just answered, sir. It has to do with opening in computer science. It says, I've not seen opening on computer science funded masters. Please, can you share any?
I can categorically tell you that you've not been looking. Computer science is like one of the hottest cake in the United States. Yeah, so just try and Google professors in computer science. I think that's like the fastest way. You can see a list of professors in computer science in the United States universities, and then you can email them. But if it's for opportunities, you have a very good, what do you call it, field. Computer science is very nice in the US.
And there's also another dimension of that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I think computer science, I think it has a link with data science, does it? For people who
yeah, they do data science and computer science.
Something like that. So if it has that link, there's a position somebody shared with me. The position is actually in hydrology, but the person needs somebody who has a skill in data science, in machine learning, in hydrology, any of those areas. So that's flexibility. We also talk about it, that don't just focus on the department, the name of the department. The program that you're going to be doing, sometimes it might not be in the department where you graduated from, but they need that skill that you have in another department. Like I think I've said, my younger brother read industrial chemistry. He's doing his PhD in bioresource engineering because the professor is working on conversion of waste to platform chemicals, which is purely chemistry, right? So that is how these things, don't limit yourself to the department name. Try to go a step further. Look at what other areas will be using the skill I have, or will require the skills I have. Then you can go there and do your master's or your PhD.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Because of our time, we're going to be ending this question session in 5 minutes. So any other questions coming in might not be taken. Okay, so we can stop sharing or start sharing them on.
All right, yes, sir. Good day, sir. I keep hearing more. Okay. I keep hearing more about getting MSc scholarships in USA. Please, are there high chances of getting scholarships in?
Okay, so from our experience, we have seen that USA is a powerhouse. That is why they are called USA. And there are a lot of reasons for that. They have more universities, and maybe they have more questions to ask. So they provide more funding, because we provide more funding, then it's funding that will bring in students. USA, it has a lot of chances. In Canada, they have chances also. So like the person that got among the 12 persons that got funding in our group already, one of them, we only have one. So one over 12 is Canada. The person just got his visa today. So good good news for every one of us. So there are opportunities in Canada, and the same method of reaching out to professors apply. Then there are also some general scholarship or some specialized scholarship like MasterCard Foundation. They support students to different countries, and Canada is one of those. If when MasterCard is out and you get the information, you can apply, and if they sponsor you, you can use that to come to a school in Canada to do your program. I think in McGill, there's also a scholarship called McCain scholarship. I think we've been sharing that on our group from different people. That is a scholarship for international students also. So those can also be, that is an opportunity in Canada. So your answer is yes, there are chances in Canada, although US is a powerhouse. There are chances in Canada, yeah.
So the next question says, it says I've not seen any openings in computer science, which is the same thing we said. So I'm going to skip this. So this one says, does the fact that you've gotten a professor guarantee you a scholarship?
It depends on because when I know that in my early days of mentorship or with most time people share their response, the professor's response with me. And from the response, you can tell. So we have to really know what the professor is telling you. In fact, I actually had a mentee that the professor did not understand what the person sent. So the professor said, okay, when you come, I'll work with you. So the person understood that the student has already been accepted to the school. And the person now said, when you come in fall, I will be glad to speak with you. So when I read the message, I told the person, are you sure this person understood what you said to him or her? So when we now ask the person to send the person another message to confirm that this is what he is saying. The person now opened up that, I thought you already got admission into the school. So that did not work out, right? So what the professor is saying to you, we have to see it well. You have to understand that it is not a generic offer or a generic response. Some professor will say, okay, go to my website and apply. We will choose the best students. That is not a guarantee. That means there's a competition. But there are some professors that after going with you, they say, put my name. I will have accepted, I will recommend you, right? So these are two different things. Some professor will say they just have the opportunity on their website. They say, go there, I'm accepting students, I will choose the best. If your application is strong, you can be invited for an interview and you can get that offer, but that is not a guarantee. So in a nutshell, the message from the professor, you need to read it from line to line and understand what it means.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think that brings us to the end of